city, porque si yo era tan bueno, tanta mierda tú me hiciste. Lo más cabrón es que tú ves todo como un chiste. Siempre voy a maldecir el día en que naciste. Los chocolates que te di y todas las flores se convierten hoy en día en pesadillas.
Bunch of sad boys. My mic is not even on. Wait a sec.
That was dope.
Yo, wait, I don't know if my... Alright, I'm not going back to check how that came out until the end, bro. We're just gonna keep on trucking, and hopefully it came out good. Because we've already done this about 5 times already, and we have no clue what even goes on in the episode. There was a Bad Bunny concert, what, like 2 days ago?
Yeah, on Friday.
Yesterday or Friday. It was St. Patrick's Day. So many things have happened in the space since our last episode. And we just wanted to catch you guys, you know. We live, what are we?
I don't understand you.
We're just trying to get our life together, bro. Okay? So,
Yep.
Bunch of sad boys today. The Bad Bunny, Morfoda, I don't know which one it is.
Morfoda.
Welcome to the Winding Road podcast. As I said, we have done this intro 5 times. We're gonna finally get it together on this try, right?
Yeah, we got it. We got it going on.
This one is called Black Museum. We're gonna jump straight in.
Yeah.
So
Quick recap.
go ahead.
There is a young lady that is on a road trip and then stops off to recharge her car with some solar panels and stuff like that. So it's gonna take a while. And there just so happens to be a museum where she stopped. So she decides to go to the museum and do the tour, right? And then there's this guy that's there who owns the museum and runs the museum and apparently used to work super research-oriented, I guess, hospital, part of a hospital. And he would take patients from the hospital that were going through some diseases or trying to, and almost had no other hope.
Yeah, these patients they had reached the end of their rope and they couldn't. The modern technology at the time couldn't suffice for their treatment,
Right.
and they had to go to the extreme. So he preyed on vulnerable people. Is the main story behind that.
Yep. And then then he goes through and explains different artifacts to her, and then it turns out that his main exhibit it was her dad. It was like a hologram that he constantly keeps subjecting to his death through the electric chair.
Exactly.
And she's like very upset at this.
Okay,
so she tries
all
to
right.
kill him.
And she successfully kills him, right? Or at least he's in eternal pain in the little carrying thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's eternally screaming in pain. So let's do this. So the first, what was trippiest, kind of our theory that we had stated about episodes ago,
Mm-hmm.
about like 4 episodes ago maybe, when we talked about the Black Mirror universe. They're all connected. This is solid facts that they are, because in it there was what was the one that came out in a previous episode? It was I don't know if it was Archangel. I think the tablet from Archangel was also
it was
there.
in there. The tablet from Archangel was in there.
Yeah. There's another one from a previous season. They have a lot of the technology that went awry, set up for display, and apparently they're all from this company, this medical technology medical thing.
Yeah, so it was like
Company.
the research part of the hospital. I don't remember what the name of the thing was. The official name of the company was.
Oh yeah, that should be important actually.
Yeah, but because he did something wrong, and then he got caught, so then he got fired, and then he started running this museum because he pretty much had no choice in another career path or continue to do the medical research.
Right. So this is actually, oh man, it was a good episode, dude.
Yeah, definitely was the best one of all the seasons, I would say. It was very good, tied in.
Oh, all right. So let's do this. Let's start with the plot. So, I mean, the cases of the technology. So the first technology they presented was sort of like a membrane that you add on top of a person's brain, and then that connects to a device on another person, and the person is able to feel exactly how the other person feels.
Yeah, yeah. So you transfer over the emotions and the physical
Sensation. Yeah.
feelings of whatever whatever you're going through. So then this doctor uses this to help him diagnose his patients, because sometimes he can't. It's very difficult for a doctor to say, "Oh, like you have this. This is how I treat it," without having talking to the person and the person accurately being able to accurately describe what's going on with them. It's very difficult to accurately diagnose.
Yeah, that is so true. A lot of times you're not sure, you're not well versed in how to even describe a burning sensation versus a itching versus a dull pain versus a sharp pain. You know, you're not sure which one, how to describe yourself. And obviously, if he has a PhD, if he knows how to better identify these issues present in the patient. And man, I got really uncomfortable when he started just cutting himself.
Yeah, because he started to like get addicted to the pain, to feeling the pain, and then it somehow started to make him um, what's it called?
He became so addicted to it.
Yeah, it became a
Pleasure,
sexual
pain.
release.
Yeah, pleasure, pain became intertwined, and he could not untangle them, and he just had to keep going. So let's talk about what I found most interesting, which was this dude experienced death. He experienced pain in the way of the old lady that died, and he
Yeah.
felt like such a relief. He got so high off that, and then after that, it was like he hit a ceiling. He could not. Anything else was just like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
After that, both sexually and just in everyday life emotions, that's kind of a scary thing, because it could apply to us too. Once we feel we once we have it really good and it's taken away, it
Mhm.
creates a need to get back to where you were, and you're not content anymore. No matter what you do, you won't be content until
Mhm.
you get what you previously had. Have you ever had that experience in your life, like where you had everything so good and it just got taken away? Like I don't know, say like a to I don't know, to Netflix, and then it got taken down to one screen, and you were like, oh no, I need to go back to the two screens.
Oh yeah, I mean
Or
it's like simple things like that. Yeah, whereas like even the same thing with Spotify subscription without ads, right? The premium. I could never, I could never now go back and cancel my subscription and say I'm willing to listen to these songs, but then I'm also willing to, mess with the ads, and I can't do that anymore.
but how? All right, let's ask why. Why does this happen in us? Because at once we were living it. We were fine. We were totally fine with our non-premium subscription to things.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden we get a little taste of, oh, you're telling me I could click songs without having to see commercials, and I could pick the song I want whenever I want, and then it's like everything else becomes obsolete. Why can't we just control ourselves and say, oh, well, I mean, I didn't use it before, I didn't have an issue.
Right. I mean, I don't know. It's just it's difficult to go back because then you become used to it, and that is the normal thing, and then now this is the best thing, and if you try to downgrade, it's gonna be very difficult. Like even that word, like it's just it has such a negative feeling, downgrading, or like I'm going back. I don't want to go back. I don't ever want to go back.
Oh my god. This guy,
But this guy was just like super, like an extreme of that, like saying, I've experienced this release through the feeling of death. You
the
know,
feeling of death.
I
dude.
can never, I can't replicate this. This is like the highest level of pain anyone is gonna feel, and I'm able to feel it through this technology. So I can't. It's really difficult for me to recreate this. And then he goes to the extreme of even starting to hurt himself because they take away his ability to feel others' pain. So he starts to feel his own pain, and that was like the most like uncomfortable thing to watch, because he just kept cutting himself and punching himself and
Oh, right.
breaking his fingers.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I found when he was in the bathroom, just cutting up his ears, taking out his teeth, cutting lines in his freaking nails, taking out his nails. But then he kills a homeless guy.
Yeah, he goes
And he
in.
drills the homeless guy in the head while he's simultaneously feeling the pain of the drill. But oh my god!
Yeah, because even that wasn't enough. Like hurting himself and cutting himself and doing all sorts of shit to himself, that wasn't enough for him to feel it, because it still didn't compare to the feeling of someone dying, feeling someone's death.
That is so dark. And they said that was the creepiest thing. That when he was drilling the dude, he got locked in a coma of happiness,
Mm-hmm.
and then that he was happy in his coma, and that legend has it that he's still in the hospital, like in cloud 9.
Yeah.
I found that to be so like eerie and like spine chilling, that he got away with it. He's happy. He's stuck in a happy coma.
Yeah, that's true. It was that's really weird. But the consequences, how he got stuck in that place, that he's just like he was killing him and he killed him or something.
No, it was probably like he was. Oh man, it's even like morbid to just talk about this. But yeah, when he was drilling him, I think the police came, and then he just like something must have happened with the technology, or not even with the technology, just in himself, like just physically, biologically, like he probably got stuck, like boom, 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 and he's stuck in a coma.
Yeah, and you can see his smile in the hospital room. He's still smiling because he's still like experiencing this guy's death over and over.
He's in a freaking euphoria world from killing someone. Man. So yeah, they started off really dark. That was the first technology, which was being able to feel what someone else is feeling. Then it goes on to the second one, which is the teddy bear, which is downloading someone's consciousness and then placing it inside the mind of another person. So then, because the girl was in a coma, so they killed her, and then they put her inside the mind of her boyfriend.
Right.
So the deal with that is, these are all kind of related. So it was like a relationship story, It was a lot lighter than the guy killing the homeless guy. They go through growing pains of, I can't get her out of my head, kind of a nagging type of thing, and it kind of brings to the forefront how relationships work and how you need your own private space.
Yeah,
and
it's like to constantly be with someone and constantly have them just be on your mind and talking to you, and just the relentless
can you imagine
companionship.
Yeah, like it would be too much, like way too much, and that's what this guy was feeling. But he was not a bad guy. He raised his kid, and he eventually found another person. And we all know he was kind of a bad guy because he locked this girl inside the teddy bear.
Well, no, I mean, because he what's it called? He has her in his head, and it's just like constant, like, talking and stuff like that. And they start to fight, and when you're fighting, you can't really get away from her unless you shut her off, and then that's like the extreme, just like you cut her off completely. She doesn't know what happened. She doesn't have a way of, identifying time, cause she at one point he like turns her off, and he comes back, and it's like been like months.
Yeah, it's been like Christmas or something.
Yeah, it's been like months, and she thinks it's been like a minute. So she doesn't really have a sense of time unless she's active. And then so then he's like, he finally just like, nope, I can't deal with this anymore. I can't do this. This is too much. You're too much, trying to take away my privacy. I have no way of feeling alone.
Yeah, because it was
which
always
is sometimes is needed, right? You need to be able to feel alone, be with yourself, and
yeah, definitely you need the balance. I mean, having someone in your head like constantly telling you things, that's really really extreme.
And but the funny thing is like the new girl that he meets is like, she's like, oh man, I don't care about this girl.
Yeah, like
Put her in the teddy bear, and
yeah, like it was such a common thing apparently in that universe that
Mm.
they just treated her like an ex, basically. Like, oh, just get away, home wrecker. You know what I mean?
Then they put her in the teddy bear, and she only has two ways to express emotion. It's either I think she either asks for a hug, or she's sad or something.
Yeah, it says needs a hug or is happy. I think those are the two phrases.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because later in the episode they talk about how in the world they created a law saying that it was unethical to put someone's consciousness inside inside something that only had two options.
Mm-hmm.
There needed to be a minimum of 5 emotions so you could put someone inside a consciousness. So it's like it's created a whole new legal world, and how do you tackle like these new questions about consciousness, like adding legality to it? Man, those lawyers are really getting their money's worth trying to figure out what's
Right.
ethical and what's not.
What are the boundaries? Am I only bound by my moral obligations, the ethics of I guess the medical field, or the ethics of the engineering field, or is it religious boundaries that are keeping me like? Am I being cruel to this person by only allowing them to be in a device that can only communicate in one way,
Yeah.
but they're technically dead already? Is it a real person?
Dude, I don't ever want someone to ask me those questions and ask them seriously. Because
Yeah.
I would not do. Okay. We've come a long way from USS Callister, where it was just a simulation. Everything was a simulation in that one. Now we're talking about actual things. Was kind of similar in a way.
Because it's like it's similar, but in these instances, that is the only
That's the only version of them.
version of them. This is this is them.
So does that make
technically.
it different?
Yeah, well, I believe so, because
think it
in the
does.
other ones, it's like they're copies. The real person still existing, right? But in these cases, like this is them. That's if this thing goes away, if the teddy bear runs out of battery, like that's it for her.
Man. Okay. Okay.
And I really like how they portrayed them to when they're inside these other devices, and their consciousness is inside the device. They're basically just like sitting there in a room in a seat. It's like
That's what they picture the
the
looks
imagery
like. Yeah.
of like being uploaded to a device like
It's just
that.
a room with a chair.
Right.
It kind of looks alright. So I think I might have changed my position on this. So in USS Callister, I clearly remember saying, "Oh, you shouldn't really care as much because they were just digital copies." But the same still holds true for this one, despite what you just said about being the only version left. But if these versions are feel pain and everything like that, I think we should treat them like adults. I mean, we should treat them like humans, because they can still feel everything. But then you could also say what's real and what's not, because in GTA, when we talked about killing the people just for fun, I mean, those are code. I mean, dude, where do you draw the line about what's real and what's not?
I don't know. You can. I don't think you can. It's a very blurry subject, and it's really It's all very subjective as to who you're talking to, right? And if there ever is a point in time in like real life where we are downloading consciousness into objects, how we behave as a society with it is really gonna fall onto like our leaders, what our leaders think. And then there's like naturally, I guess, we have followers.
There's gonna be like,
So it's all the policy is gonna fall onto whoever happens to be president at the time.
yeah. So there's gonna be like a right wing position on traditionalism. Keep them at 3 feelings, and then you're gonna be like liberals. Yo, you gotta have a minimum of 10 feelings.
Mhm.
And like vote yes for downloading consciousness or something like that. It's gonna
Yeah,
be
it's
like
gonna
policy.
be it's gonna be really weird if that ever happens. But I don't think it's gonna be like we don't like them or we don't want them. I think it's gonna fall more so into the idea of eternal life. You know, everyone's gonna want it. Everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, I don't want to die, so
Okay.
put
you,
me into this
Yeah, you reached
this
okay.
hologram."
You reached a crossroads here. Okay. There are different types of Black Mirror has played with a lot of different types of eternal life. We saw the one in with the game. We saw the one with San Junipero.
Mm-hmm.
San Junipero seems totally fine to me. I would be fine with that. But the version of downloading consciousness, no. I would not want that whatsoever. I want you to put me, if I'm gonna be fake, put me in a fake world. I don't want to be in some
Right,
gray space.
because you're constantly like still living. You're still living, right? But if you're being downloaded into a device, you're very limited to what you can do, and it's shown right in how they decide to portray what that person feels, and they're just in a empty room with just a chair,
Yeah,
right? And this big screen TV that allows you to see what's happening in the
and what
world.
gets me is that, dude, you can't. There's no way to end it. You're not in control of your fate anymore because you can't kill yourself. In real life, there's always the option of, okay, yo, if it's too much, I'm out. Deuces. There is no option in that whatsoever. It's a digital. You can't kill yourself, right?
Right. No, it's literally up to whoever you're with, and they have to turn you off. And it's just, and also that, like the turning off.
Oh, yeah.
It's ridiculous how like
So you're dead.
it's just over. It's just over. Yeah, you have no feelings from it. You don't feel anything, and if you come back, you don't have a sense of it's been a week. It's been 3 years.
It's like you just.
I'm just back. You know.
Yeah, that's not. That's not.
So that part's really weird to me.
Okay. Would you want to live forever through some form of consciousness? That's a very vague one. There's different types, obviously, as we've seen.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think.
Okay, let's go with the one I would be kind of okay with. Would you do the San Junipero one, where, before you die, when you're like an old person, they just tell you, yo, if you want to die, you could go ahead, or if you want to live forever and relive your 90s, you could actually meet new people that are real in there. That's why I was cool with that. But if they were to tell me you could live forever inside another person's head, you could live forever inside of a toy, even if the toy had 50,000 emotions, I would still not want to be. Okay, that's where my line is. Like I said, I want to be inside a fake world where I know everything is. I want to be inside a digital space. I don't want anything. If I'm dead, I don't want to be in the living world anymore. Period. So that's my stance. Where do you go with it?
Honestly, I'd rather just like
R.I.P.
end it. Yeah.
You just want to R.I.P. do it the old school way.
Yeah, cause then like I don't.
Me too, but I'm saying, if I had to choose. Yeah, If all right, so my number one, just let me go the way our ancestors have been RIPing for the past 50 million years.
Yeah, cause it doesn't appeal to me to be in any sort of like digital consciousness, because I'm like I still feel, I would still feel dead. I would still like, my family still has moved on without me. And then I would constantly be thinking about like, what are they doing, blah blah blah. So it doesn't appeal to me to have that form of eternal life. I'd rather, if there was ever gonna be like eternal life, like I would want it to be my life, the one that I'm living right now.
Oh yeah, so just stay alive forever biologically.
Yeah, I would want to continue.
Yeah, that's
right.
perfect.
I mean, I guess you can upload me to a robot, and then who also has like human, I guess, capabilities.
Oh yeah.
Be like iRobot and stuff like that.
You would be cool with being a robot?
I would be cool with becoming a robot, yeah. Because then I have my abilities grow. right? But like if I just get uploaded to a teddy bear, then I've lost all form of humanity, right? Any semblance of who I was is gone.
Dude, I am so tempted to just go with the position you had at the beginning, which is to go with traditionalism and just go out the way we're supposed to, quote unquote. But then that could be just sort of me thinking in present time and holding on to tradition, because in the future, if they ever get to that, it's gonna be normal. It's gonna be so normal, and we're gonna seem antiquated for being like, oh, you gotta do it the right way, man. You gotta just R.I.P. the first chance you get.
Mm-hmm.
And in the future, they could be like, that's such a, what is it? The future is now, old man. The
Yeah,
future is
yeah.
now.
So like, I mean,
All right, let's get back to this. So then the second one was the teddy bear, right?
yeah.
So then the third and final technology that they go over in Black Museum is simply digital downloading. That's it. That's all it is, right? So there's there's a guy who's falsely accused of killing someone, and right before they're gonna sentence him to death, they ask him, "Hey, if you agree to join this digital download, in exchange for it, we'll take care of your family." He
Mhm.
immediately agrees to that, and right on before they electrocute him to death, his consciousness is downloaded, and then it's used as a morbid circus act type of thing.
Right.
He goes directly to the museum, right? I don't remember them putting him anywhere else besides the museum.
Yeah, because at that point, the guy,
he had been fired.
he's already been fired, and he's running the museum already, and he wants this
Oh, the
as
final piece.
his main attraction,
Yeah.
right? Being able to kill someone because people are sick like that, it's like the ability to sentence someone to death and watch them experience being electrocuted over and over again.
Dude, they had, I think, like little kids también, and it was so normal.
Yeah. Just like,
And did you see the part about do you remember the part about how obviously you get the masochists? So in the
Mhm.
beginning, it was a general attraction.
right.
And then over time, once it started getting like bad press, and once people just got over it, then it left the sickos. So masochists, rapists, people like that. Also like really businessmen. Once it became unethical,
Mm-hmm.
then you got the people who would pay for it, like pay a premium to, oh, you let me do it like as many times as I want.
Right,
You
and
got
let
like
me get that limit, because I think there was a 20-second limit or something like
yeah,
that.
it was on the voltage, so you couldn't go past, I think, like 14, because then it would like fuck up the program.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you couldn't go past 15 seconds.
Yeah.
That was a cutoff, and then because if you went past 15 seconds, he would lose his consciousness altogether. He would just be like a fried vegetable.
Oh, and it would be like that forever.
Yeah, he wouldn't talk. He wouldn't do anything. He wouldn't feel it anymore. He wouldn't feel the electrocution anymore.
Oh my god, no, my god, no. Fuck, man. That's so fucked up. And but she got revenge. So at the end there's this whole theme about throughout the episode about it getting warm. Like they keep hinting towards, oh, it's getting warmer in here. It turns out that the girl, she had sabotaged the AC, and that's what allowed her to offer him water, which was poisoned. And then she, using the technology in the episode, she took the consciousness of the guy right before he died and put it inside the mind of her dad, which was the prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
And then she killed them both. And then she had like a brilliant line. It was, "This is going to be the first double mercy killing." And then she pumped the thing for like longer than it was supposed to. And then they both died.
Mm-hmm.
But right before that, she downloaded only the guy inside a little keychain, and he's suffering forever. And then she goes on to drive away with her mom, who's in her mind as well.
Mm-hmm.
That is revealed that the whole time. So it just shows that they like, this has to be it has to be so far along in the timeline. obviously because everything before that already happened, but it's still before Metalhead, wouldn't you say?
I believe so. Yeah, because it's still not. I guess society's still going. There is no apocalypse. Yeah.
And I know it was set like in the middle of Nevada, but even just the terrain of Black Museum, it seemed like the terrain of Metalhead.
Mm-hmm.
Because even the gas station, like I said, it could be because it's in the middle of Nevada, but it could also be that the society overall is crumbling and is getting closer to the period of Metalhead, where you just have freaking machines going crazy. Oh my god! But
Yeah, it's
yeah,
getting closer and closer. But I think what you're hinting at is like what the gas station was like all abandoned. But I think that's probably because of the advancement in technology, because the car is like electric, and she recharges her car through solar panels.
oh, but no, she plugged it in though. She plugged it in electricity. Like the gas station wasn't a gas station; it was an electro station,
Oh,
and
I
she
see.
plugged in the car.
Okay, I don't remember that.
But I don't know if it could just be because it's in the middle of nowhere, or
Mhm.
if it's how society is now. Um, but yeah, this is one of the best episodes. I still probably like Black Christmas more. Is it Black? Oh no, it's White Christmas. I still probably like it more, but this was definitely up there. The season finales are always wild. I
Mhm.
think White Christmas was also a finale. Um, so yeah, we touched on the consciousness and the consciousness.
Yeah, but that was really good. I really enjoyed the whole tying in of all the episodes, and the theme at the end was like this digital consciousness, and then the copies. That was what got me thinking, was like the copies that people were making of the guy in
Constant pain.
constant pain from the electrocution. Like, so is he like also alive in that? Is he's conscious, and that's a separate copy of him?
I think so.
So
And
there's like millions and millions of, I guess not millions, maybe thousands of little key rings with this man just constantly dying.
yeah, so he's not even dying because the thing cuts off.
Yeah.
So he's constantly in pain. There are millions of copies of him, and each one is feeling the worst pain forever.
Mm-hmm. So there you go. There's another, I guess,
What
aspect
the heck?
to this. Is it a real person or not? If there's like thousands of copies of him, do you say that those copies are him, or do you say that only the
only the
one
one
in the
that died?
museum
Yeah.
is him?
What is a copy? A copy is supposed to be something that's the same as the original, meaning they would be the same, meaning yes.
Are they all him? Could you like put them all in the room? Which one's the real one? Is there a real one?
Okay, let's go traditionalist. See, tradition offers simple answers. Let's just say, no, man, his real one died. Everything else is fake. Anything
Mhm.
after he died in physical form doesn't matter. That's one answer.
But I'm still feeling emotions. I'm still like messing around. I'm still like
It blurs the
reacting
lines so
to
much.
things. There isn't anything that I'm not doing right now that I couldn't do before.
You could say, well, you're not though, because you can't do anything. You can't get out of the thing, bro.
I'm limited, but I'm still self-aware. I still feel what I felt before.
If I was that person,
I'm physically limited,
but
but
you're not what?
I'm not a limited uh awareness, I guess.
So that's it. It's just at that point you're just awareness.
Yeah.
You can't physically change the world in any freaking way. You just are.
Right. So am I?
That's really what's taken away. Your power to change things is taken away. Even no, You can still
So is
change.
that what defines me?
No,
My physical being is what defines me, and not my mentality. Or
I'm all for souls. I believe in souls. I think souls are real. But digital, it kind of gives it a huge discount for me, man. Like it just makes it seem not real. Like I believe in souls and spirituality and your spirit, that being a real thing. If you were to capture that and make it look aesthetically cool, how I picture souls to be, I picture souls to be like switching colors, like like floating in and out of existence and containing some of the most beautiful things you've ever seen. But if you present it to me as a digital thing, as like a freaking hologram, I don't care. It makes it less, even though it might be the same thing. Do I want to hide and run, dude? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, is it
What?
is it my soul? Is it the person's soul? I don't know. We don't have a clear definition of what
There's
a
no
soul
way
is,
this
what a soul
is.
should be, what a soul looks like. It's literally just whether or not we choose to have a moral stance on things.
Do you want? Yeah, you could either abstain from it and be like, I'm not judging that, or you could get in the freaking field and try to figure it out. But there's no way. Science can't help us.
No, science.
This
Science
is
is just
out of
science
the-
is just fact. The technology is what it is. We invented what we invented, but who's gonna define whether or not we're doing the right thing is our moral stance.
I think.
And who's gonna define it? And it's all gonna fall on what happens to be the trend in society at the time.
Yes.
It's not gonna be because we have.
There's no absolute answer to it. It's just gonna be
It's not
by
because
the wind.
believe because we're good people. We're always gonna have the exact same reaction to this. We're always gonna create the exact same policies to this consciousness uploading or whatever. It's not gonna be the exact same thing. It's always, to me, it's always gonna fall on whoever happens to be in power at the time, and whatever happens to be the direction that humanity is going in.
Yeah. So there could be like an establishment position, which would be okay, and then they'll codify it, 3 feelings, digital copy, dun 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 dun, and then over time that's gonna set a trend, and people in the future who are already used to it will be able to comfortably answer that question. But then also in the future there could be radicals.
There always will be.
Yeah, there's gonna be also radicals who are gonna say, "Yo, you guys are way off the path. We need to go back to how it was." And then, like college students will get radicalized, and there's gonna be like, how we think of communism now as like fringe. There's gonna be like fringe that are like, "Yo, we need to go back to super traditionalism and only biological stuff." So, okay, so the point I was trying to say. How do we answering that question? How do we answer moral questions today? Like you said, it has to do with what's going on.
Right. There's no definition of what's no clear definition of what's right or wrong.
We have systems.
There's like
the judicial and the legal
extremes
system.
like murder. Okay, everybody is like, all right, fine, don't kill anyone. But had there been a point in time where we said, "Oh, killing was okay,"
Yeah,
we'd probably be like, "Yeah, no problem.
It's fine.
It's not illegal."
Then okay, so then you're getting versus like nurture versus nature. Are people born with like, I don't know, let's say like 7 or 50 different values that are true, or is it everything just like learned? I have no idea.
I don't know. It falls into like what you feel, and I can't tell you what you feel. I can only teach you what our society feels is right and wrong.
This is how society was made.
And like we were talking about before, like the consequence of murder jail time, maybe even death, right? The consequence of stealing, you go into jail, you hurt someone, blah blah blah. It's all based on like
Yeah.
what happens after the fact. Is that what stops us, the consequence, or do we really feel that killing someone is wrong? Regardless of whether or not we have the capability of doing it, because some people can't do it. Some people just can't do it. Right? Is that because they're afraid, or because they feel it's wrong? Or like, what's stopping someone, that one person, from killing someone else?
Dude. This is why, okay, we're trying to answer these questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
People long ago had the same issue. And what did they do? They created entire theologies to solve these questions. So we're having a conversation right now. And the questions are getting so complicated between us that we would need to devise entire systems and spend the rest of our lives talking about each thing
Mm-hmm.
to properly answer. And it's actually interesting because this is how things were made. People back in the day were like, over time they learned about things and they said, whoa, there's evil in the world. It exists.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why do I suffer? Is there a creator? Then more people started asking, yo, is there a creator? Yo, let's say there is. If there is he super powerful? He created us. Is he watching us all the time? Is he a judgmental person? Yes. Is there a way we could behave to minimize our suffering? And then we started coming with different rules. Do not steal, do not cheat, do not commit adultery. And some of these rules have lasted longer than others, and some have faded away. But there's entire systems. You could either go with the Christian theology, you could go with the Buddhist, talking about desires, how desire is the root of all evil. Or you could go with the Christian one, which is, no, there's actual objective evil in the world.
Right.
Also, just malevolence by others, caused by God knows what, by the devil. Or you go in Hinduism, they talk about, I think it's Vishnu, the destroyer of worlds. There's different sources of evil, and there's no way to prove any of it.
No, it's just we have.
This is the best we have come up with is different.
That's the best things we've come up with to explain all this wrong and our ability to commit, suffer, or like, I guess, force suffering upon others. That's how we explain it. We have this, like you said, objective stance on what evil is, when it really is a very subjective thing, and it's very difficult to explain, very difficult to define, which is why we've spent so much, like you said, so much time creating these systems for us to define the box, give the dimensions to the box of what's good and falls in, and what's bad, you got to keep it outside.
Yeah. Okay, so actually, I mentioned this book that I was reading like 2 podcasts ago. And basically, I had never read the Bible before. I had never read the Adam and Eve story, but it seems relevant to right now. So here's just one of the millions of takes that there are on explaining evil. And so if we go with the Adam and Eve story, so God created God created Adam and told him, hey, you're in paradise. Do whatever you want, man. And also, I'm going to give you a partner. He created Eve. And he told him, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to work or anything like that. You just have this garden. You can enjoy it for eternity. And then he told him just 2 rules, or 1 rule. He said, all you have to do is just don't eat from the tree of knowledge, and don't eat from the tree of good and evil. Okay, that's our ancestors who wrote that story telling us that evil might be coming from knowledge and from good and evil. Okay, Eve gets tempted by the snake.
Mm-hmm.
That asks a question, why was the snake in paradise? That tells you, is there always going to be suffering inside? Even you can't get rid of it. It's intrinsic in everything evil is. Eve is tempted by the snake who tells her if you should eat this apple because one, you will be able to tell the future, and two, you will know about good and evil.
Mm-hmm.
So Eve eats it, and all of a sudden they become, and then she shares it with Adam, and all of a sudden they become conscious that they're naked. They become conscious that, whoa, like they become so self-conscious about just being, and that is a downfall of man. And then God curses them and tells Adam that he's gonna have to work for a living. So work is also introduced as an evil.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells Eve that she's gonna become cursed, having to bear the kids of men who mistreat her, basically. And then he kicks them out of paradise, and he puts an angel at the gate to guard them from entering again. He kicks them out, and he tells them, "You guys fucked up. You guys have to get out of here." And that's the story of man. That's one of the accounts. So the fall of man started from being able to tell the future and knowing about good and evil.
Mm-hmm.
So getting them out of that naive state to knowledge. Knowledge, basically. That's one account of it. See, look at these stories that they made, our ancestors, and they have survived. It's just one answer to. You can see the necessity for these answers, because these questions come up just in everyday conversation.
Yeah, and we don't have really any answers for it.
And then, people were like, okay, we don't have to solve this. They seem to have a plan over there. So let's go with the whole system that they made. And that's how you get religions.
Yeah.
From the questions.
From our need to explain everything. And our like the even falls into what you're saying with the knowledge is what kills us. It's what kills us. And because we need to know everything and we need to define everything, sometimes these questions are unanswerable with our current understanding of physics, the world, humanity, our limitations, or whatever, chemistry. Everything is limited to what we know today. So we've created these other systems, like you said, the religion, policy to define those answers.
Yeah, I think we've done a good job of dealing with it.
Yeah, or give us a comfort into.
It could be a false one, but yeah, comfort
a
nonetheless.
comfort into what these answers, these questions that we don't that have the capability of answering right now. Will we ever have the capability? I don't know, but I mean, there's still questions that we need. I mean, that we feel that we need the answer to.
Yeah, and think about this. What you said about knowledge is so real, because if you're conscious of, if you know something, it's gonna bother you. And the way we deal with it is to not think about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, once we're done, right now, my brain is like on 1,000, right? And I'm like, it's like starting to hurt, right? Not like physically, but like just like thinking about all this stuff. And the way I'm gonna deal with it, and the way we deal with it, is just to stop thinking about these questions.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna be done with the podcast. I'm gonna go on with my life. I'm gonna worry about what am I gonna eat, when am I gonna go to sleep.
Right. But then why
And
does
I'm
it hurt? Why does your brain hurt from thinking about all this stuff?
Because I don't know.
Just the fear of the unknown.
Yeah, because I don't know. I don't know anything. And the way we're gonna deal with it is to not think about it.
Yeah. And then what I'm curious about is like what does it take for one person to go beyond that, to not to still have the fear of the unknown,
And to keep going.
but to keep going and still like probe at it and still do experiments or whatever. Like what defines that person versus you who is just like, I don't want to think about it anymore. This is too hard. This is
I
like,
think I think that's how you get great figures in history. So like Aristotle, Plato, what are some other great thinkers? Socrates. I think those are dudes that kept pushing it for their entire life, and they came up with their own systems. So they got the Greek system and whatever their beliefs are. And that's how you get rare. But I think those are rare. I don't think. Okay, all right. Would you want to be dealing with this, bro? Like with this question for the rest of your life? Because we're not gonna come up with an answer.
no, of course not.
You know?
But it's just like it's
And so I think the answer to that would be I don't know what would be the difference between someone who would want to keep going, but we do know that they have existed. And I think
Mhm.
Gandhi would represent another one who just kept going. Well, I don't even know if they kept going, but they just certainly asked a lot of questions for all of their life.
Mhm.
Philosophy.
Yeah, but it didn't.
And it didn't yield. They didn't find any answers. I mean, they're remembered in history, but
Yeah, it didn't yield.
anything.
They didn't yield to anything. They weren't like, all right, this is too much. I need to stop. I need to just live my life. I can't keep questioning all these ridiculous ask questions or aspects of our lives.
Yeah, and they're not ridiculous. They're only ridiculous because it's ridiculous to try to get an answer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not ridiculous to ask, but it's ridiculous to expect an answer.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a difference because we always ask, but if you actually expect that you're gonna find an answer that you're comfortable with and that's true, you're never gonna find it.
Yeah. So do you also think that there's a part of it is like the answer that you get you may not like? Is that another reason why people choose to stop asking the questions?
Oh, that you get the answer that's like, then you stop, you back away from it because you didn't like the answer.
Yeah, like they say, oh, what happens after death? Nothing. Like
That's
if
one answer.
that's really the answer, like who's like is that something
That's
else?
interesting.
Another reason why people don't ask that question anymore?
Yeah. Is it because, okay, that's actually one of the most simple ones. Nothing. You just, dude, you go back to where you were before you were born, which is nothing.
Mhm.
That's kind of cool, but also not really. But
Yeah.
I mean, it could be cool. That's a
It's
simple
like,
answer.
yeah, for a lot of people, it's like that answer is like really unnerving.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, then what's the point? Because then you start to ask, what's the point of this? Why am I even here? What does it even matter if I lead a good life or not? And what defines a good life? Is it success?
Yeah. I've never.
Is it failure?
you know
is
that
it
phrase-
family?
Yeah.
What's my definition of good?
I think there's like a phrase that's like, answers only leading to more questions. And that's what you just did. Like you said a question and then you answered it and then your answer had two more questions. So
Exactly.
what is a good life? Oh, what is it? What is a life? What is it? And then you're branching out. You need to stop that at some point to get anywhere and to do anything. It needs to be stopped.
I don't know. These are all very difficult things to tackle, as we keep saying, right? But I think it's important for us to have at least a thought every once in a while, because then that's what pushes us to do better, right? And
Yeah.
try to make something better for people that come after us.
Yeah, like our ancestors did for us.
Mm-hmm.
So we gotta pay back the favor and set them along their way
Mm-hmm.
to make their suffering as less as possible. Then
Yeah, because I mean that's one of the biggest things that I do is like every time I'm at work, I'm trying to. My ultimate goal is to try to make it better for the next guy. Like define better what his job is and what he needs to do, and make it easier for him to find things, or her, to find
Yeah, and that could be
stuff.
extrapolated out to, just life in general.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Right, if I ever have a family, everything would just hopefully be easier for them than it was for me.
and yet, okay,
And yet there's still like the continuous improvement has to happen. Also, like my son or daughter would hopefully have the same mindset and be like, all right, for their sons and their daughters, they'll try to make it better if they can.
so then, okay, so we're trying to set their path better, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then here comes another phrase: the more things change, the more they stay the same. As we're improving from Plato on, we still have the same questions that Plato had,
Mm-hmm.
and everything has changed, but not really, because we still don't know what's going on.
Right.
So there are phrases that are fucking real, that are just like, holy shit. These are things that keep reoccurring. Ah. All right, we're at an hour and 3 minutes. This is solid time. Hopefully you guys stayed through until the end. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had a really good conversation today. It was all
And
it touched on a lot of themes that we've talked about before.
it was a good wrap up.
Yeah, so it was a good, like you said, it's
Season finale. This is a season finale of our take. We might not ever do Black Mirror again. This was just like a little experiment, but and I put out like a questionnaire on my Snap. So we have no idea what we're gonna do next, but this is it for the Black Mirror version of this podcast. We hope you guys watched along with us, and even if you didn't, a lot of times like we did today, we go abstract, so you don't even need to watch the episode. But but yeah, we're gonna keep on trucking, and we'll see you guys in the next episode of the Whining Road Podcast. Make sure to follow us on our social media at the Whining Road Podcast at Instagram. Also the Whining Road Podcast on YouTube and on SoundCloud.
Hell yeah.
But until then, thank you guys for listening. We love you so much. This is my name is Jorge Moreno. I don't know what that was.
I don't know. But my name is Angel Silva. Thanks for listening, guys. And we'll catch you on the flip side. Peace out, fam.